Kendrick just opened his mouth. Somebody hand him a Grammy right now. Much peace, y'all. Happy Kendrick Bowl. Y'all not gonna see me on camera today because I'm still tending to my body, but I still wanted to come and chat with y'all. So I wanted to check out the Apple Music interview with Kendrick. I watched it on my own and I've seen a lot of reactors giving commentary to it. So I wanted to just kind of highlight what stood out to me. But I also see that PG Lang and NFL have put out some pre-interviews for the performance. So I haven't seen those, but I would like to look at them with y'all. So we're going to do the Apple Music one first, and then we're going to move into the interview with him in the car. I don't know who that person is, but let's go.
It's just really just I want to look at it like it's just a continuum of who I am. Really, I've always stayed to myself. Always been in my own bubble, whether it's with the fam or whether it's training. How I process it all is just I continue to do what I was doing 10 years ago, and that's like be better in myself, better in the craft, and not look at it as bright lights, you know. And it may sound cliche, but it always worked for me, even when I was younger. You know, playing sports or being in the forefront of presentations and stuff like that. It was like I gotta look at myself in the mirror rather than looking at it as a crowd or fame and attention.
I like how he described that this is a continuation of what he's always been doing because it lends itself to the conversation that's also happening around Doechii lately. Trust, there's no comparison as far as Doechii and Kendrick as far as the impact of their careers. However, it proves that there are no overnight successes, that you got to put that work in, day out to achieve the results that they both have achieved. I like how Kendrick said that it's a continuation of what he's already been doing throughout his career, a continuation of his personality. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the discipline that he hints at as far as putting his music career and also physically training in the same sentence shows that there is a discipline to it, that there is a craft to hip hop that is not just lackadaisical, I'm just going to have fun on the mic, that this is his career and his craft, that it's something that he takes seriously.
No, I wasn't thinking about no Super Bowl.
You never thought about the Super
I
Bowl
wasn't
with
thinking
this.
about no Super Bowl for sure. We was thinking about the best verse and how we gonna split this $5 at Church's Chicken or something like that. It wasn't no Super Bowl. Going to the studio and getting a meal. But I think, well, what I know is the passion I have now is still the passion I had then. And I think that carried on to the Super Bowl. So it was all about being present. As long as I was present in the studio and present in whatever that line was or whatever that mistake was, rapping or doing hooks or choruses or whatnot, I was present in that moment. I felt that passion. I think being present and not actually foreseeing everything kept me in the grounded state of mind in order to be at, big stages like this.
This statement about being present really stood out to me, and I just want to make sure that we highlight what he's really talking about. What Kendrick is talking about here is awareness of the present moment. That means not being stuck in the past, not being stuck worrying about the future, but actually living in the now. We know that Kendrick Lamar follows the work of Eckhart Tolle, and one of Eckhart Tolle's most famous books is called The Power of Now. And that's what he speaks of. He speaks of awareness, how the only real moment is the present moment because the past is our recollection of it. The past is basically stories that change depending on who's talking. And the future is not even guaranteed. So when you live in the present, that's where you're able to live in the most amount of joy and the most amount of discovery and fun. And that's where one needs to be as an artist. So yeah, I respect that.
My intent was to always keep, I think from day one was to always keep the nature of it as a sport. I don't care how motherfuckers look at it as far as like, as a collaborative effort, that's cool too, but I love when artists grit their teeth. Like I still watch battle raps. I still watch Smack URL from Murder Mook to Lux to Tay Rock, my bro Daylight. This has always been the core definition of who I am, and it's been that way since day one. So I don't think it was a thing for this year. It was always just a continuum. And what I will say about this year, it was more from a space where I think a lot of people was putting rap to the back, and you didn't see that. You didn't see that grit. You didn't see that bite anymore. So I always took that in consideration.
I like that. He's talking about the competitive nature of hip hop, that the beef with Drake was essentially a continuation of what he did with the Control verse, that he looks at hip hop as a sport. It is competitive. That's always been an aspect of hip hop, the cipher, the battles, and that he was coming at it from that angle. And we saw we saw the strategy that was involved in the succession of tracks that he came out with, and it shows that it came from a love of the sport of hip hop, a love of the art, rather than trying to have a big moment.
And that's like the basics for me. I thought about, damn, what I used to like when I was a kid. Hard raps, good beats, that's smacking, right? And it was a great transition from Mr. Morale because that was my most intimate. I wanted to go inside of my own psyche and my own personal withdrawals and see how it connects with the public and who can relate. So during this time around, I think it was necessary of coming out of that cocoon and feeling like, okay, I arrived now. I can spread my wings and show every state of who I am as far as Kendrick Lamar.
I love that. He basically described himself as a butterfly. He was able to come out of that cocoon. And how was he able to come out of that cocoon? By bearing his soul on Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. There is so much liberation in finding the voice to share your personal story, not just the triumphs, but the ugly parts of it, the polarizing parts of it. There is power in confession and the washing away of sins once you speak them. There's that phrase, can't nobody burn you with your own tea. And he showed that by showing those vulnerable moments. And when you're able to put it all down like that, there's an excitement and there's a freedom in being able to express. And we saw that freedom in GNX. There wasn't the pressure to have a conscious album or an album that spoke to these political times. Just straight hip hop and West Coast beats.
As a writer, you know, and that's what I can appreciate the most. And knowing how much time I dedicated over the years and just trial and error, writing the most terrible shit to some of the greatest shit. You know, we all do it, from writer's block to figuring out how to find inspiration from the most non-popular aspects around me. So it's like knowing that trial and knowing what I put in as far as my thinking process and what it takes to get there, I do not look at it as a small like endeavor because it's a hit record. No, it's actually some writing in that shit. You know, whether it connect with you on a spiritual level, whether it connect with you on a comedic level, whether it connect with you just on a personal dynamic, it's still from a writer's point of view.
I love that as a fellow writer because writing is work. Writing is not always fun. Writing kind of sucks sometimes when your ideas aren't really coming to fruition, or you just feel stuck, or you get a critique from someone you trust that tells you need to go back to the drawing board. So I appreciate that he is pointing out the craft that it takes to be a writer.
For me personally, watching her, you know, her career and where she's come from, it's amazing to see. I get to finally see how certain individuals see me come up in the process, because I seen her day one coming in the studio and writing songs, throwing away songs, writing another song, throwing away songs, and songs is hard. And I understood that process, though, wanting to be great. You know, even when we, you know, people saying this is classic records, you're like, no, you know, I'm gonna write another one. And I understood that and I seen it. So to see it now magnified is like, she always had it, man. She always had it. And I'm just honored to be next to a talent.
Shout out to SZA and her journey. I love how kindly Kendrick is speaking of her as her peer, especially given that she is a singer rather than a rapper. I appreciate just how he compared her journey to his and how he was able to watch her progress. It makes sense why he wanted her to be the one to interview him when he did the Harper's Bazaar article. Aside from us not knowing yet that they were going on tour together and that she'd be all over GNX, I enjoy the pairing of them as artists and look forward to what they do.
For me, I love being present. I love being present, man. It's my favorite. It's very hard for me to live in the past. It's very hard. I respect the past wholeheartedly, but being in the now and being just locked into how I feel and the energy I have now, that's the LA energy for me. That's something that I want to carry over to New Orleans and for the world to see. This is me, this is Kendrick Lamar, 37 years old, and I still feel like I'm elevating. I'm still on the journey though, you know? And I want that energy to, ooze out into the televisions and to the people that's in that building.
He said, I love being present, and I do too. That goes back to that Eckhart Tolle power of now. It is really hard to be depressed if you are fully present, because when you tap into the fact that you're breathing, you are here, when you just focus on that one moment, when you just focus on the one moment of the present, usually the worries that are in your head could kind of go out just for that minute, because you're just in your body. You're just taking in what's around you without comparing it to the past or forecasting the future. There's so much power in being present. It's interesting that he says that's the LA energy right there. So I'm looking forward to that energy oozing out of my TV screen. I know y'all are too.
You know, the connection between Black culture and New Orleans, and how important and shaping our ancestors were in this town, music, jazz, all that. You always put our culture and Black culture at the forefront of your brand, your music. Same thing in LA. A lot of our family members moved out to California from the South for new opportunities.
Man,
So
what?
there's a big connection between LA and the South. So when you say you walked in to New Orleans with that LA etiquette and all of that, I don't know if people really grasp that, but you got to be feeling that
That's a
energy,
bar.
like when you are out ready on Sunday to do your thing.
That's a bar. It's crazy, bro. Out of all my friends, LA, us growing up, all our grandparents either from Louisiana, Texas, Chicago, like, period. So our dialect and how we talk, it gauges from like the South and like the Bay Area. So like going to the store, we say finna. I'm finna go to the store. Like, that's some South shit, you know what I'm saying? That's not no LA, right? So that energy right there, and making that correlation, it means a lot to me for people to understand that. And the culture and just being Black, I can't help that, man. It's just not something that I think about or even try to like go, I'm Black. Shit, it's just go.
It's in you, it's not on you.
Yeah, it's gonna come out every time. I can't sugarcoat it. I can't downplay it. I'm at a point in my life, I can't necessarily fake the funk for nothing. And I've always had an essence of that, but you have kids and shit. That shit's like, I have to be who I am authentically. And if, the world can't accept that, then so be it. But who rocking with it, I'm gonna put it all the way out there, whether it's in private or whether it's on the main stage.
Shout out to both Ebro and Nadeska for being such good journalists and asking such thoughtful and insightful questions. What Ebro talked about the connection between the South and LA, it points at how crucial it is to understand the history of the people who are creating the art, because it provides context for language, it provides context for story. And then on top of that, what Kendrick said about how he can't fake the funk for anybody. There's something that happens when you get in your late 30s, and for me now in my 40s, where that filter kind of goes away. You even see the filter kind of coming down with how Kendrick is speaking in this interview. He's not self-censoring. He's just speaking as himself. And he mentioned, there's something that happens when you have kids. And it's true, because our kids watch us. And for me, I don't want my kid watching me be fake. I want to instill the principle of authenticity, of being your true self, because that's where the integrity lies, not in trying on personalities or hiding parts of yourself for fear that people aren't going to like you, but just standing up in who you are, all of it. That's what makes us connect to them. It's that level of imperfection, because in all of us exists imperfection. So we see ourselves in the art.
I don't think I knew exactly what my role was early on. I had maybe clues of it, but now today I can truly say it's to express myself and express things that people can necessarily say on the daily, and for them to actually relate to. Come from the most vulnerable place where people can actually feel it. I think that is, for me, that's the role for me as an artist. I don't give a fuck what place it come from. I could be the most angry person on the record. You go feel that shit that day if you woke up and you felt that. You want to smile, you gonna feel it, because I'm gonna make sure I'm present that particular time in the studio, in the booth, that I feel happy and I feel energized, and I feel, if I feel frustrated, you gonna feel it. And to carry that as an inspiration for people that's listening that may not have a voice. That, I've grew up with cats, still to this day can't have a conversation. The most meanest, aggressive individuals, but they can't even look you in the eye and express themselves the way they want to. So they resort to other things. And when I think about that, and I know that I have the tools necessary to communicate myself properly and effectively, I gotta do it for them. I gotta make records like Reincarnated. I gotta make records like Man in the Garden. I have to, because they feel that way, but they cannot project it. When they hear somebody actually giving them affirmations, it allows them to speak more freely and be open, because again, I come from the same place they come from.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why I mentioned that man at the garden, that phrase, I deserve it all, is a mantra. It's a phrase to be repeated so that it can be internalized. Kendrick had a similar concept when To Pimp a Butterfly came out for I. A lot of people, when the first version of I came out, I love myself, were like, oh, this is whack. What is this? What is this positive stuff? And he mentioned that he wanted his brothers in the hood to be repeating that, I love myself, because there's an absence of self-love. So when we think of that, he's creating art and a voice for the voiceless, because the nature of hip-hop is that you rap along with the lyrics. So it shows that he is being really thoughtful about his words and what he wants people to rap along with. And through that, he is elevating the whole consciousness of the community, of our people, and of the brothers of his who don't have the opportunity or the tools to express themselves. And that's beautiful. And that's really a service and a calling.
This is Hayes Adler. He's got a question for you,
What's up,
Kendrick.
man?
Hi, Kendrick.
What's going on?
How do you prepare for such a big performance? Do you have a favorite way to stay healthy and active?
Yeah, I do some laps, whether it's some sprints. If we talking about, let's go from, okay, on the physical level, I give you that. Maybe it's a 2-mile warm-up or a mile warm-up, maybe some push-ups, just to get the body movement. Sometimes you be out on that stage, man, and you need some oil on your knees a little bit to get moving and get cranky. So physically, I'm just exercising the body, a little bit of stretching, a little bit of all that. And on a mental level, I'm usually playing some Isley Brothers, just to calm not my nerves, but calm my excitement and just give it a balance, So that's my prep right before I go out.
I love the respect that he's given to the young people. The fact that he is so present and kind with his response and thoughtful with his answer. His answer emphasizes that the body is an instrument, that it's not just the voice, but the whole body. And as artists, we have to take care of our whole bodies and be holistically well.
Mentorship has been everything. To be around individuals that experienced every little thing that, you think that you're the first person to go through. It's a difficult task when you're a young individual, because you're like, shit, you don't know what you're talking about. But as you progress and you be like, damn, he or she was right, you begin to understand life a little bit better and not be so judgmental to people that have been here before you, right? The greatest thing I would say a couple mentors that given me was like affirmation, and to always give myself space to believe in who I am, even when I wasn't feeling it, right? You can accomplish so many small things or big things, and you still can fall in a slump where you doubt yourself. Even though these mentors haven't seen the spaces and been in the places I've been in, it was always time to allow me to share exactly who I am or how they see me and what I'm capable to give to the world. And I think that goes a long way, from people in the highest places and the lowest places. We all need them.
That emphasizes the importance of mentorship. I am a mentor to some young artists, and I wholeheartedly believe that without mentorship, it's hard to make it anywhere great. I would not be where I am in my career without my mentors, and I appreciate that question that young man asked.
What's up, Mr. Kendrick Lamar?
There you go. That's an artist right there.
Yes, sir. It's a truly honor to meet you. And my question I have for you is, what advice could you give to kids about not being like anyone else? And how could they stay authentic while pursuing your path?
It's a great question. They said the number one thing people feel in a room, over love and over fear is being authentic. And this is my homegirl, Ink, actually. We was talking about this in the studio. She brought us in the studio. And I was like, damn, how many times I've been in a room where people felt you so intensely that it inspired them and it inspired the person next to them and inspired the people in their household. You have to believe in yourself and have to know that it's only one you. You and an amazing individual, unique. You a miracle. I wake up every day and I'm like, this shit is crazy. Not crazy from a standpoint of being a celebrity. Crazy just life. It's just wild. When you really sit down and just think about it and just bug out on some wild it's wild. And to know that you are in this existence and in this world as one individual, is only you have to know that you got to carry that authentic nature of allowing yourself to say, this is who I am, this is how people are going to see me, and also going to respect me, and it's going to inspire people to have truth. Because when everyone's authentic, what comes out of that is true love. It's no boundaries. We don't have any courtship on judgment. We don't have any perception of being able to ridicule anyone, because you showing up as your true self, I'm showing up as my true self. And carrying that nature, it take you places.
That's what's up. Shout out to the young, articulate brother. And shout out to just those sage words, the words of wisdom that Kendrick put out there as far as authenticity. It makes me think of Lauryn Hill on the Unplugged album, where she says, I'm paraphrasing, but she says, the real you is better than the fake anyone else. It's easiest to exist as your true self, but it's also really hard to exist as your true self. But once you find that balance, that's where the beauty comes from. Like Kendrick said, that's where the love comes from. And that's where the wellness comes from, and embracing ourselves wholly, and embracing our stories, and embracing where we're from, but also, most importantly, embracing the present. All right, we're going to check out this Kendrick Lamar and Timothée Chalamet exclusive interview. Don't know what to expect out of this. I've not listened to this yet, so let's see.
All right, my life is in your hands.
Scared, man. I told you I got you, bro. You got movies to film.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. He's driving that Buick Grand National. It's cool that Kendrick's the one driving.
So we always got this thing about like keeping the pen up. Whether it's exercise, going there, doing 16 bars, going home, always just keep moving. How I feel if it's been a while for you.
Yeah.
Take a minute for you warm up in front of the camera, take a minute to remember the lines, get into the character. How long does that process?
Yeah, all the above. I try to prep at home. But the thing about acting is if you don't have an audience, it's just a form of insanity. Then you're just, what are you doing? So I'll definitely try to warm up and then, lose that self-consciousness when you finally get back out there.
Yeah.
But that takes time. I always try to embrace failure. You were talking about that the other day, that the most important part of a bad day is like the way you leave it. And if you could leave a bad take or a bad day with a positive attitude, then you got nothing to fear,
He said some deep stuff right there, y'all. So I'm an actor. I'm trained as an actor. That's how my artistic journey began, with acting and poetry. And when he said acting without an audience is a form of insanity, I feel that, because as an actor, self-consciousness is the opposite of what you want. The best acting is when it doesn't feel like acting, when the actor is just existing as the character, existing in that moment, in that breath. And then he talked about failure and the importance of embracing failure. That is something that I had a hard time doing, as a perfectionist, but it is all about what you do with that failure. If you take those lessons and apply it to the next time, then it's not a failure, it's a lesson.
I have to keep the pen moving. It's my form of sanity. But also has given me the opportunity to learn myself, find out who I am.
You mean through the styles of expression or the actual lyricism or everything?
Because when we write, man, you got to sit and go through the emotions and be vulnerable about it. Whether it's a fun song or sad or, got some type of depth or not. These are still relatively your personality, pushing through. And so a lot of these records I write, man, it's a lot of stuff I probably would never express or even known about myself if it wasn't for an instrumental behind it.
That's deep. He said a lot of the stuff I write, I wouldn't have known about myself without an instrumental behind it. That he has self-discovery through writing, and it shows through the depth and the vulnerability of the stories that he tells. I love that. As somebody who's a writer and who teaches writing, it tickles my soul.
With my projects, it always be that one record I feel like that I want everyone to hear. You know what I'm saying? In order to push the narrative or just the message and the tone that I want to get across. I can have so many other records that have different narratives and tones, like flexion, right? To preserve a space for that one that I want everyone to hear, that's what That's what pushes me, man. That's why I like The Man at the Garden, and even the fact that it's at the top of the record.
So it sounds like Man at the Garden is that record for GNX, and I love it. Man at the Garden is my favorite track too. because I deserve it all. We deserve it all. He deserve it all. All right, let's check out this part 2.
You feel like you ever let a movie be made about you, or probably too young to be thinking about that?
I don't even thinking. I don't be thinking about no documentaries and no nothing. I'm present. I'm going.
Yeah, you're you right now.
Sure, I still got ideas, man. I want to get to all that, So no, to be real, man, I'm infatuated with like the now. Like I look at the present day and I see the goals that I sought out and that I accomplished. And I feel like I'm gonna live a full life, man. Yeah, live a full life of inspiration. So
there you go again with that infatuation with now, the power of now. If y'all haven't read that book, get it. Or even if you don't want to read the book, just take a moment to let yourself be present. Some of the ways you can do that is breath, just closing your eyes and breathing and just listening and paying attention to your breath and how it feels. Or closing your eyes and doing a body scan. How does your body feel? Can you feel all of your toes? Do you feel all of your fingers? Can you feel the middle part of your back? That's being present right there.
You know what I was telling you about, like Man in the Garden? Yeah. GNX is always that one song that I want everybody to get to for the purpose of the album. Yeah. This was the purpose of this
really, really. But this one isn't up top, right? This is like...
Nah, but this is...
12, yeah.
Right, but this is something that I critique myself on.
Yeah, Cushion Corinthians that's a good song right there.
You say, okay, I'm at a point now in my career, I don't have to play the game of having the album track at the end of the record. I want that motherfucker up. I want it at the top. So you're going to get Man at the Garden at the top of the record. Right. Because I've put in enough work to say I want it this way, and that's my way. Like, if I can do this shit all over again, which I wouldn't, this motherfucker be it.
Right. Be first or something, yeah.
Yeah.
Said,
that's dope. He talks about sequencing and how GNX is the first time he was able to put the album track, quote unquote, near the top of the album. Because we look at Man at the Garden, that's what, track 3 of GNX. But when you look at songs like I on To Pimp a Butterfly, that's later in the album. What else? Trying to think what those tracks would be on his other albums. For Good Kid, Mad City, I would guess it's probably Sing About Me, Dying of Thirst. And then what would it be for Damn? What y'all think? Probably Fear. Fear is the track that sticks out to me the most on that one. But yeah, this was a cool interview. Cool connection. Kendrick and Timothée seem cool as a fan. Thanks, y'all. I hope that you enjoyed my commentary. I'm so looking forward to the Super Bowl. I'll holler at y'all about that and what my thoughts are. And yeah, everybody be well. Take care of yourselves. Be blessed. And I will see y'all next time. Peace.
Look at me. I'm a loser, I'm a winner, I'm good, I'm bad, I'm a Christian, I'm a sinner, homo, loud, I'm righteous, I'm a killer, what I'm doing, I'm sad, that I'm human, now we will just ride to it.